Resilience is trusting myself to grow and adapt.
Resilience these days means taking it day by day.
Resilience to me is really about knowing how to adapt to change and knowing when to ask for help. I think it's super rad to know that the community is helping out, finding ways to support PSU students at this time.
It's been extremely comforting knowing that PSU is making sure that we don't have to put our lives on pause or even give up on our dreams.
Now more than ever, in times like this, knowing that you're being held by a community is really, really important.
It gives me a sense of hope that maybe on the other side of this we can come out stronger and closer.
It's fitting today that we acknowledge the indigenous people on whose traditional and ancestral homelands the entire PSU campus rests. The Multnomah, Cathlamet, Clackamas, Tumwata, Washtenaw, bands of the Chinook, the Tualatin, and the Kayapua, and many other indigenous nations of the Columbia River. Even though we're gathering virtually today, we honor these communities, their descendants, and their legacies. We have much to learn from the values and cultures of indigenous people.
Hello, and welcome to the 2020 virtual Faculty and Staff Convocation. I'm Vanelda Hopes, Director of Academic Administration at PSU. As you may have gathered from the students that you just heard from, the theme of the convocation event this year is resilience. And Dr. Susan Jeffords, Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs, is here to kick us off.
Thank you for joining the 2020 Faculty and Staff Convocation. I want to give a warm welcome to all of our new employees, including 38 new faculty who have joined us this year. You can find the names of all of these faculty listed on the Academic Affairs website. I'm also very thrilled to report that we had a successful promotion and tenure process last year, and we are celebrating the promotion of many new faculty, including 25 faculty who have been promoted to associate professor with tenure, and an additional 57 faculty who have been promoted in other ranks, including 12 who have become emeritus members of our community. You can also find the list of all of these names on the Academic Affairs website. I wish you all the best for the coming academic year. Though it is going to be an unusual and challenging one, our commitment to our students continues to define who we are, and it draws us together and affirms our values as a PSU community.
To echo the Provost, convocation is a time to affirm our values, values such as shared governance. Joining us now is Michelle Gambird, Presiding Officer of the PSU Faculty Senate.
Welcome back for the new academic year. When I stood for election in June of 2019, PSU faced a very different landscape. We had just weathered a crisis in shared governance, and Stephen Percy had recently stepped in as interim president. Now we face different challenges. The world endures the effects of climate change and the COVID-19 pandemic. Our nation grapples with issues of systemic racism. Our city is deeply engaged in the Black Lives Matter movement, spurred by the deaths of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and too many others. Our university has undergone a dramatic pivot to remote instruction, and we face a budget crisis and an urgent need to address issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion throughout our institution and our curriculum. When these challenges keep me awake and worrying in the wee hours of the night, I'm guided by the motto, "Be the change you want to see." Questions of change and initiative lead to a discussion of resilience, which is the theme of this year's virtual convocation. Anthropologists who study disaster do not see resilience as a heroic individual effort to survive catastrophe on one's own. In a disaster, those on the margins suffer worst and take the longest to recover. These patterns are not a coincidence, but the physical record of long-term social inequality and exploitation. True resilience is built into strong social structures and practices, which grow through long-term investment in the good of the whole community. True resilience means preparing ahead of time to preserve our physical environment and broaden our universe of caring. How we plan during and after a disaster illustrates the priorities that we hold for our community and for our future. This year, the Faculty Senate will work on 2 key priorities. We will undertake initiatives related to diversity, equity, and inclusion in partnership with our new Vice President for Global Diversity and Inclusion, Ame Lambert. And we will work with President Percy, Provost Jeffords, and the unions on the difficult task of preserving shared governance and curricular integrity while planning budget reductions. Returning to the motto, "Be the change you want to see," I ask myself, what kind of university would I like to see in another 5 years? Hopefully a more welcoming, more sustainable, more transparent institution with fewer precarious laborers and a balanced budget. I imagine PSU offering visionary programs that graduate skilled critical thinkers prepared to work for social and environmental justice and embrace the opportunities that the future will bring. The best way to a resilient community is to make sure that the people affected by decisions have a say in making those decisions. In the words of folk singer John Gorka from his album Bright Side of Down, "There are more wrong ways than right, and there are more right ways than one." My goal this year is to lead a transparent, participatory, inclusive process to bring the campus community together to discuss the choices and decisions we face and find a right way forward. I encourage people to get in touch with me with questions, concerns, and suggestions, and to participate in the collaborative efforts to create the university of our collective future. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. We're all looking for a way forward. And now I'm pleased to introduce Stephen Percy, President of Portland State University.
Greetings, PSU faculty and staff. Normally, as we start a new academic year, we'd be gathering about now for our annual convocation event. If you're like me, you think of a crowded Smith Ballroom, a chance to greet colleagues and friends you've not seen for a while, anticipate a wonderful musical performance, and know that behind the sliding doors at the end of the ballroom, chicken on a stick and other appetizers await the end of the formal program. Well, like so many things, this will not be our convocation experience this year. Instead, our planning team conceived of a different approach. As is our custom, this video program features presentations from myself, the provost, and the presiding officer of the Faculty Senate. In addition, you will hear from folks from across our campus community who will share perspectives on a theme that is a special meaning at PSU right now: resilience. After all, PSU has been resilient since our very beginning 75 years ago, as an institution that was established to serve GIs returning from World War II. We were resilient in surviving and thriving in the aftermath of a flood that destroyed our first campus. We have persevered through other periods of turmoil and disruption in our history, and we've been nothing if not resilient over the last 6 months in our continued response to the COVID-19 pandemic. My own understanding of resilience deepened when I collaborated with faculty and staff to build a new graduate program in emergency management and community resilience. Ideally, work in resilience begins with advanced planning to prepare responses that mitigate harm. We, however, did not have advance notice about the pandemic that befell us. Instead, we faced a pandemic squarely on, adapted very quickly to sustain student learning, and to later bringing back activities like research to campus life. Colleagues, I cannot thank you enough for the thousands of ways you have demonstrated resilience this year. You created remote learning from scratch. You showed great care and compassion and kept yourselves and others safe and healthy during this period. You found ways to give students personal attention and support, even working remotely. You created a sense of community in a virtual environment. You called on leaders to reimagine campus public safety, and you urged our campus leadership team to address racial inequities here on our campus. I want to specifically recognize the burden that has been carried by our Black faculty, staff, and students. You've continued to meet your academic and professional commitments despite the trauma and grief provoked by the latest incidents of racism and anti-Black violence. I'm humbled by your resilience and your fortitude. Our next challenge is before us. How do we learn from the pandemic experience to plan for a stronger future? The work you have done in recent months propels us forward on that journey. We have amazing talent and energy and commitment on our campus that are key assets to creating resilience. We must confront and eliminate racism. We must appreciate the harm caused to Indigenous peoples and to learn how their culture and values provide knowledge to perform a new vision of resilience. We must ensure student success by innovating effective responses to new challenges we may face. Colleagues, I'm excited for the year ahead, our 75th year, a year when we recommit to our resilient roots and celebrate our spirit of service. Stay tuned to learn more about how we will be celebrating our 75th anniversary. And with that, I invite you to sit back, take a few moments to learn about perspectives on resilience from other members of our campus team. Thank you for being part of PSU. Welcome back to a new academic year.
Judy Bluehorse Skelton is a faculty member in Indigenous Nations Studies, an author, an herbalist, and an award-winning educator. She joins us now to share an Indigenous perspective on resilience.
Tots may we, hello. May you and your families be safe and well. When I think of resiliency, I think of our ancestors. Our ancestors have sacrificed so much for us to be here today. I'm grateful to our ancestors, for they remind us to be thankful for each day, to be thankful for our lives, to be thankful for all of our relatives. They remind us to be generous in all things, to be honest, humble, respectful, and courageous. These are the parts of resiliency that endure. They remind us of our responsibility to the future generations. They were thinking of us. Many years ago, I had good fortune to participate in a mentoring program as a Native American community member. One of our elders was mentoring us on how to be mentors to the next generation. And he told us, we have survived genocide. We have survived the criminalization of our cultural practices and language, and so much more. He said, you are the 2% that survives. You're the 2% that are here today. And you have the responsibility to carry that on. He said, no pressure, but that's what we're doing. That's what we've always done. And it's what we must always do. We are grateful to our big relatives. We recognize this work is not done alone. We recognize we are not alone. Our big relative, water, the oceans, the streams, the rain that's falling, that refreshes the earth, gives us life. Water is sacred. We recognize the big relatives of the forests, who clothe us, feed us, give us medicine, heal us, ceremony, all of the plant relatives who give us the air we breathe, and without them, we cannot be here. We are connected. We are relatives. That's resiliency. Honoring and respecting all of these relatives. Acting on behalf of community. Always guided by the children, the gifts they bring in with each generation. This elder shared with us that our teachings, our ancestral voices have not been lost. He said anything that has been spoken is carried in the wind, and that we must learn and remember how to listen again. And as we share voices, Indigenous people, a resurgence globally, regionally, locally, advocating on behalf of the people, advocating on behalf of the land and the water, advocating on behalf of future generations. We're reminded, we carry that in our hearts. That's resiliency. Katsiyaoyao, I am thankful to you. I am thankful for you. Katsiyaoyao.
Ed Washington was just 11 years old when a flood wiped out Vanport, a city that was built to house wartime shipyard workers. Oregon's second largest city at the time, Vanport was home to thousands of Black residents, and it was the birthplace of the Vanport Extension Center, a 2-year college that later became Portland State. After the flood, Mr. Washington and his family stayed on in Portland. He attended Portland State in its new location, and he went on to become a civil rights leader, Portland Metro Counselor, and a valued member of the Portland State University staff.
When I was asked to talk about the resiliency of Portland State University, it really brought back a lot of memories. I had my very first exposure to Vanport College when I was probably in the 4th grade. And I remember going there, and I just remember thinking, well, I'm at college. And, you know, fast forward to the flood of 1948. And even before that, I think that if you think about the resiliency of Vanport, you know, it was a place where the GIs could come and get an education. It just saved so many of those GIs and gave them the opportunity to get a good education. But, you know, not everybody wanted Vanport College to succeed, and there was more political there. So, you know, they had to fight hard. They had to be extremely resilient to overcome the political pressures and the fact that they said there was already 2 universities, one in Corvallis and one in Eugene. Why do we need another one? But we really did. You know, I've seen the pictures, and other people have, after the Vanport flood, which was just traumatic, not only for Portland State, but for those 30 to 40,000 citizens that live there. You know, they had to start all over again. So everybody, all of the citizens and all of the teachers that taught school in Vanport, all the people that worked in the city, taking care of it, all had to start all over again. So they had to be very resilient. And that to me is just, it's a testament to Portland State. When you look at the history from Vanport to the flood, to the pandemic, to the shooting, and we've had to bounce back every time. And none of those things are easy. Those are tough things. And so I just think resiliency is, it should be Portland State's motto, because they've had to practice it for 70+ years. And it seems like when they get through one thing, there's always another challenge waiting for them. And I think I'm so very fortunate that I've been involved either directly or indirectly with Portland State. And I'm so grateful that it was here for me, and both for my wife, who graduated, who's passed away about 20 years ago. But I think that the city of Portland needs Portland State as much as Portland State needs the city of Portland. So many people would not have an opportunity for education if Portland State was not here today.
Decades after Ed Washington attended night classes at Portland State, Dr. Carlos Crespo helped create Build Exito, a highly successful program that improves the resiliency of our community by diversifying the ranks of biomedical researchers. He reminds us of the key role faculty members play in building students' resiliency.
Greetings. Some of you have heard about Build Exito. It's an NIH-funded program with the ultimate goal of diversifying the biomedical research workforce. Our Éxito scholars are selected because they have demonstrated resilience and have been able to demonstrate with a lifetime experience of overcoming obstacles. Our scholars are selected from Portland State University, but they also come from Portland Community College, Clackamas Community College, Clark College, Chemeketa Community College, American Samoa Community College, Northern Marianas College. And some of the work that we're doing is being replicated at University of Guam, University of Alaska Anchorage, and University of Hawaii. Our partnership with the Oregon Health and Science University has allowed us to identify research mentors to supplement the research that is happening at Portland State University. One of our primary goals of Éxito is to be able to support the student in their future career goals. This would not be possible without the support of faculty from Portland State. I want to share with you a couple of examples. One of them is Elizabeth Perez, who was an AmeriCorps volunteer who started at Portland Community College with the goal of becoming a laboratory technician. When she was recruited to become an Éxito scholar, she was matched with Dr. Cruzan in the biology department. She completed her bachelor's degree, but she's now at Harvard University pursuing a PhD in biological and biomedical sciences. The ultimate goal of becoming a professor and to work in science policy. Another example is Motutama Sipeli. Motutama came to Portland State from American Samoa Community College. And right now he is the first elected Samoan to be president of the Associated Students of Portland State University. He was mentored by Dr. Podrasky, our interim vice president for research. None of these efforts would have been possible if faculty like you would be willing to mentor a student. Because however resilient students are, we always need the support of a faculty. We all did. We all needed a mentor to get us to where we are. I want to, on behalf of Bill Éxito, thank you for being a faculty mentor. I know there are many faculty who currently are serving as career mentors and research mentors to our scholars. We still have work ahead of us, and I look forward to continue working with you for the next 5-10 years. Thank you.
And now we will hear from our inaugural Presidential Futures Fellow, Dr. Laura Nissen, for a futurist perspective on resilience.
For organizations, resilience is a very important word that's often misused or overused with a very superficial tone. In the midst of racialized police violence, COVID-19 and the deep inequities it has revealed, a global economic downturn and climate volatility in a very real way in our own community, the term resilience is complex. And yet to find our path forward, we need it. We can find it. Some examples of our resilience are all around us. The incredible response our campus had this spring to jump into action for our students and for each other. And also, just as real, some of us feeling like our resilience has worn through at this point. Our organization contains all of these dimensions in their very real expressions. The truth is that organizational resilience reflects deep and committed work to realize one's position in an ecosystem and evolve to meet the times we inhabit, whatever that might mean. Resilience is a well-developed ability to anticipate and activate collective intelligence, imagination, and agility. It contains mutuality, ethics, equity, and curiosity. It contains spaces where people who work for the organization can bring their full selves to work, to enrich, to contribute, and absolutely bring their intersectional realities and adaptive strengths to help or compel the system to change. In the PSU Futures Collaboratory, we've been intentionally building community capacity to explore and practice what it means to be ready for the future that's unfolding, even as we imagine the future we want to co-create. We're also using future skills to help PSU evolve faster. We're thinking a lot about the places where people are hurting the most and how we need to remember to keep our gaze focused on how to make sure a better future is available to everyone. Foresight practice can help us feel like intense change is more navigable. Organizations that learn and grow through changes and challenges, who genuinely look out for each other and encourage mutual thriving and success together, are resilient. The ingredients are the ability to detect how change is happening, responding thoughtfully, and evolve towards the future we want together.
Our final perspective on resilience comes from Ame Lambert, Vice President of Global Diversity and Inclusion, who joined PSU this past summer and is already deepening and expanding the conversation about racial justice and equity. Thank you for joining us for the 2020 Virtual Faculty and Staff Convocation. May we all have a resilient year.
Did you want to see me broken? Bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries. You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I'll rise. Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean leaping and wide, welling and swelling I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave, I rise, I rise, I rise. Many of you probably recognize the words of the amazing late Maya Angelou, one of my sheroes for her resilience, authenticity, and commitment to living life on her own terms and positively impacting her world. In a year that has given us no reason to hope, I encourage us to hope anyway. I keep thinking about the title of Obama's second book, The Audacity of Hope. I think I understand what that means so much better now that we have been challenged so much this year. Look, we're not living in denial here. This has and continues to be a very difficult year. And BIPOC folks and communities have and continue to bear the brunt of things because systems of oppression manifest in every aspect of life. We are exhausted, we are dying, and our sense of collective loss has been magnified by the loss of people significant to us, most recently Chadwick Boseman. Like many of you, as I process my grief at his unexpected passing by reading everything I could find and watching his performances over and over again, I was reminded that there isn't always a happy ending. This is real life after all. Oppression runs deep and systemic change is long and hard. Yet Chadwick exemplifies resilience as much as John Lewis does because he pushed through project after his diagnosis, and he changed our world in the process. We can look back now that he's gone and we can see clarity of purpose and mission and meaning in everything he did. Unfortunately, resilience in this case did not mean beating cancer, but it did mean making sure his life mattered and impacted others. You will hear me say often that for minoritized people, the most radical individual act there is for us is to thrive in a system that was not designed for us and rarely sees us. Resilience for us is finding and holding onto our center and our communities and leveraging those assets as we battle obstacle after obstacle to be who we are supposed to be. It is truly a challenging time, but we will rise. We come from folks who always do. So onward, as we keep the words of Kendrick Lamar on repeat.